Cairo, Seattle.
This is Fight, an MMA podcast with Bob Stelton and Danny O'Neill. Insight and analysis from every angle.
You can't dispute the results.
The fights.
That was the biggest pay-per-view card in the history of the UFC.
Fighters.
We're here with Carlos Condit. He joins us.
Uriah, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you?
And everything from the world of mixed martial arts. It's time for Fight.
Who's your least favorite fighter ever?
My least favorite fighter ever.
Like the guy you're like, that person can't get punched in the face.
Boy, that's a great question. I'm trying to think of who's really gotten under my skin. I really am not a Brock Lesnar fan.
Yeah.
Really didn't like him.
I'm a white boy.
Get over
jacked.
it. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
Oh, wait, steroids. My bad. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at different times, it's been different people. It depends on how they sort of conduct themselves after we've talked about guys who are really crappy losers, and the Diaz brothers have gotten under my skin, but there's a part of me that likes them too, so I can't put them up there. Might be Brock. I'm just not a Brock guy at all. Really not an Alistair Overeem guy at all either.
That's more because he was
He's kind of a jerk.
conceited.
He's actually the only fighter I've ever spoken to who wasn't very pleasant to deal with. Every one of these guys we talk to, whether they're verbose or not, are really polite, nice guys, right? Some are great interviews, some aren't so great, but they're really friendly and nice, and I think they all understand that you're still trying to, as big as this sport has become, you're still trying to crack into the mainstream, and I think they understand that by talking to people from ESPN and things like that. Alistair just seemed like, I just not interested in any of this. And maybe we caught him in a tough weight cut or something, but he was literally the only one I walked away going, he's kind of a creep.
It's Fight, an MMA podcast. I'm Danny O'Neill with Bob Stelton. We're going to be talking to Dan Henderson, he's not the best interview in the sport. In fact, he can kind of be tight-lipped, but one of the all-time greats. We're going to talk to him, and he's fighting my least favorite fighter ever.
Yeah, yours is very clear. You've just got a very – and you and I, we're talking about Michael Bisping.
I hate Bisping.
And I've talked to him a number of times. I really enjoy him. Now, watching him fight, he's generally not a very exciting fighter to me. He's kind of dull.
Oh, yeah. Is that what it is when you spend most of the fight backpedaling and counterpunching? Don't ever really hit anyone with much power and then complain about the decision. He's a professional decision maker.
He is, except when he fought Luke Rockhold, which stunned the world.
Rockhold owes us all an apology. It's Luke Rockhold's fault that we're subjected to this cocky Brit who's really 10 years past his expiration date, now being on top of the division and having to be propped up. It's horrible.
So you have a thorn in your side thanks to Rockhold.
Yeah. And he did. He just knocked him out. Rockhold was being an idiot in that fight. Leaving his hands down by his waist.
He couldn't have been less serious about the challenge that Bisping presented. He looked bored, like, let me just tune this guy up. Bisping's taking it on short notice. Technically, listen, I give him all the credit. He knocked him out. He deserves all the credit, but he's not the fighter that Rockhold is. I'm sorry. He's just not. And if they rematch, I will bet on Rockhold every single time. But he clipped him, and he got him. But leading up to that, he was just kind of toying with him, looking at him like, this is easy work. I'm going to make the easiest money I've ever made. I'm kind of bored. He just had that look on his face, and it cost him.
Yeah, and then even after the fight, they got into a shouting.
Yeah, in the post-fight press conference.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, Bisping used some choice slurs. I think that's what we would call it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
And explaining to him, and then I believe Rockhold is, give your respect without being a jerk.
What is it about Bisping other than his fighting style? Because there are a lot of guys. Dominic Cruz is a decision maker. There are a lot of guys who are decision makers. There are, not everybody is knocking everybody out. So what is it about Bisping?
It's the combination of his fighting style, which is backpedaling, not engage, win points in exchanges without ever really taking chances, combined with extreme arrogance. And maybe it's the colonial legacy of just anytime there's a Brit that tries to subject too much of that. I was like, we fought a war. We kicked your butt out of this country once before. We dumped a bunch of tea in the Boston Harbor. We can handle you, Bisping.
Colonial legacy. I bet if you interviewed him, if we had him on this show, you'd think, all right, he's a pretty decent guy.
Yeah, probably not. Because I think I'd probably say enough things to him to get him annoyed.
You'd antagonize him?
I would try to, yeah. Maybe I would play a song like this, which is my favorite Michael Bisping song.
Just sit right down and hear a tale
of a lucky Brit. His name is Michael Bisping. He's such a cocky dick. Dana needed an Englishman, push his UK biz. He knew if Bisping had success, the UK would be his. The UK would be his. So Dana gave him an easy load. Skill level was thin, and even when he lost a fight, they still gave him the win. They still gave him the win. So join us at the octagon. You're sure to get a smile with Bisping, Dan Henderson, and all the B-list fighters Bisping beat. He's mediocre, but he thinks his shit doesn't stink here on Bisping's aisle. So now he's got an attitude as if he were legit.
That song could not be better written if it were written by you.
Yeah.
Those sound like your words.
Yeah, completely. I feel like it channeled my very spirit toward him. Name one fight that you remember of Michael Bisping's. Like where you're like, that was an awesome fight to watch him fight.
I don't remember them because they were awesome fights. I just remember him. I remember him fighting Kung Lee.
Yeah.
Right? Because Kung Lee is 175 years old and looked like it.
Fought Anderson Silva.
Which I thought he lost.
He fought Chael Sonnen in an incredibly, it was a UFC on Fox, one of those cards.
Yeah, he beat Brian Stan for a decision. He lost. He got TKO'd by Vitor.
Oh, you remember the one when he got mad at Jorge Rivera, kneed him when he was down because Rivera had made a bunch of videos that made fun of him?
Is that the one? Who did he spit at?
Jorge Rivera.
Was it Rivera?
So he knees him in the head when his knee is down. And Dana even said after that fight that, like, I think he knew the knee was down. I think he basically fouled him on purpose because he was so mad at Jorge Rivera and spit at his corner.
Okay, so I think we've determined you've got some ammunition here. He hasn't had very many memorable. His most memorable fight, unfortunately, is the one where he was just dispatched with extreme prejudice by Dan Henderson.
It was the best.
I mean, he got knocked out twice.
Yes.
It was as vicious as it gets.
Now, I remember the day after that fight because it was at UFC 100. And it was part of a really good card. You had Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir.
By the way, did you hate him as much back then?
Yes.
Okay.
Couldn't. I have not been able to stand him since he was on. Since he coached in the Ultimate Fighter against Dan Henderson.
Okay.
Seeing him for the whole entire time and watching the entitled look.
So it was that show that really brought you to this point of bubbling hate.
I didn't think he was an exciting fighter before that. The first time I really started hating him was when he beat Chris Lieben, because I love Chris Lieben.
Yeah.
And Lieben at one point put both his hands behind his back, daring Bisping to hit him, because all Bisping did was ride his bike backwards the entire fight.
Right.
Because he wouldn't engage with him. And so Lieben puts his hands behind, and then Bisping comes forward and hits him. He still couldn't. He's the worst kind of fighter, and he is so cocky. He squirted a water bottle in one of Dan Henderson's fighters' face after a decision, and he was just annoying to Dan Henderson. I was like, who are you to Dan Henderson's one of the all-time greats in this sport.
Yeah, he's a legend.
The guy is an Olympic medal-winning wrestler who is coming to be, and now you're like, oh, it's not always going to be the way you want it, Dan. Dan, that's not the way it's always going to be. Sorry, Dan. Like, you should shut up.
I love that you hate him for that, yet you embrace the Diaz like you're related to him. And they are the kings of smack talk. You love all these other guys who talk smack, which most of them do on some level, but it's Bisping.
This guy's all English and stuff. That's part of it, him with his weird accent.
Oh.
He probably eats crumpets.
So if it were Michael from Reno, Nevada, or Michael from Scranton, PA, you'd go,
maybe.
He's
it's
boring,
possible.
whatever.
Yeah, it pisses me off that he's English. that part of it is there. And so in UFC 100, because in the whole lead up to the fight, Bisping's all, Dan Henderson, I think he's past his prime. I don't think he's going to be able to. He's got a big overhand right, but I don't think he's going to be able to hit me with it. I've never been knocked out. People say when they spar with me, I'm really tough. And then what happens in round one? He's sitting there circling. Wham! Goes down straight-legged. And not only that, once he gets on his back, Dan Henderson goes Superman, forearm, smash to the face.
You're going to have to show that video to our producer, Aaron, so he can really appreciate the viciousness of what took place there and why it was so satisfying to you.
And then that Monday, I remember, because I was on with your current partner now. I was on with Gross on the radio, and they were asking me about something and about, what wasn't that the fight where there's the cheap? I was like, it wasn't cheap. That was absolutely warranted. He gave him one for the road.
Fight wasn't over yet.
He hadn't been stopped. Nobody grabbed him. He was airborne, and he came down and smashed him right in his mug.
Oh, it was a pretty delicious moment. It really was, and I look forward to our conversation with Henderson. And we'll see if he matches your hate. I don't think he hates Bisping.
No, I don't think he dislikes him.
I think he might get a kick out of your venom, though.
Yeah, it was truly. If I was going to list my favorite knockouts, I do think that one is at the top, just because of how the punch, you see it coming forever. It's this big looping overhand, and he just walks right into it. And then it was one of those where it's just instantaneously, like he remains rigidly straight and just falls over.
The tree's falling. Yeah. It was sensational. I mean, it's one that it's on the highlight reel of greatest knockouts, right? Whether it's that or the Gabriel Gonzaga kick to Krokop's head.
Yeah.
There's just some that, whether they were the great fights of the best fighters or anything like that, it's just one you just see over and over and over.
Jens Pulver's got one, doesn't he? He hits a guy and he falls forward. He crumples him up really bad.
I'm trying to remember because I feel like there's a highlight reel we see all the time.
Yeah, it's John Lewis. Jens Pulver knocks out John Lewis. This is early. John Lewis is actually an important person in the UFC. He was real good friends with the Fertittas. I think he trained one of the Fertittas before they bought the promotion. And Jens Pulver hits him, and Lewis falls forward, just crumples him up. Absolutely thunderous sort of fight.
You see that? You see the Anderson Silva front kick to Vitor Belfort.
Yeah.
You see,
Anderson Silva front kick to Couture.
Yep. Yeah. It's no, that was that Machida?
It was Machida.
Machida knocking out the tooth.
Yes,
see the tooth go flying.
Yeah, was that? Yeah, right. It was
Against
Machida.
Couture.
I got mixed up on which guy Steven Seagal gave the super kick to.
All right. I just came up with my answer. A fighter I hate the most. And he's not really a fighter. He's just a big, bloated, fleshy, doughy has-been who took credit for things that he had no business even speaking on. The sensei, Steven Seagal. Can't stand him. I hated that they would interview him. They would interview him at these fights and get his take on it like he had some say, like he had some inside knowledge because he was at Black House training with Anderson Silva and he supposedly taught him the front. Stop it. Stop it. It's nonsense. Can't get his leg up that high. His belly's in the way. It's ridiculous. I hated that. That to me was it sort of took a little bit of validity away from the sport. I'm like, stop talking to this guy, please. Please stop it.
It was Ariel Helwani would do it, too.
Oh,
he always liked to talk to him.
Talking to the sensei. Stop.
Plus, he was wearing the weird shooting glasses, right?
Yes,
with
he's
the
got those
lenses.
yellow lenses on like he just walked out of a shooting range, and he's going to conduct this interview about how all the things he taught worked out perfectly for Anderson Silva and everybody else, and now I don't even think they associate with him, thank goodness. But, yeah, that little period of time where he had some level of prominence in MMA was really painful for me.
And you like Silva as a fighter and Machida.
I do. Yeah, I like them both. And it really bothered me. It really bothered me to see them being associated and acknowledging him. Giving him any level of credit whatsoever was really disturbing to me, and I hated it.
Well, so I think that we could say that having Bisping and Seagal fight each other might make us both happy, but actually probably no one would hit each other because Bisping would just backpedal around and Seagal's incapable of lifting his leg. We do have someone who is going to be fighting, who is going to be taking on Michael Bisping. That's Dan Henderson. He's going to join us next as he gets in the cage on Fight.
Now that the UK has been won, there's no place left to hide. His easy scheduled days are done here on Bisping's Isle.
Hey, Dan, this is Danny O'Neill. I'm here with Bob Stelton.
How's it going, Dan?
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. We appreciate you taking the time to do this, Dan. How's training preparation going for this fight?
Training went well. I feel great. Ready to go. Just waiting to weigh in and have the chance to punch Michael Bisping in his face again.
See, I'm really looking forward to this. We've spent the first 10 minutes of this that we recorded before we talked to you, me ranting about how much I dislike Bisping and how much I enjoyed and might be my favorite fight when you knocked him out last time.
Yeah, I'm looking to be able to do that again, but I'm also just hoping for a win, regardless of how I get it done. As long as I get it done, but it would be nice to knock him out again for sure.
Hey, Dan, you've had a lot of great moments, a lot of great wins in your career, but would you say the Bisping one was one of the more satisfying wins?
Yeah, it was probably one of the more satisfying wins. Not in the sense of a big accomplishment, but a sense of kind of sticking somebody's own foot in their mouth and kind of shutting their mouth that way.
Is it fair to say that you disliked it? A lot of these guys talk about, no, I don't truly dislike anybody. It's a fight, and we're going to be fine afterwards. I don't know how many people you've stepped into the cage with that you had a true dislike for, but would Bisping be one of them?
I don't know if I would go that far to say I got a true dislike for him. I don't necessarily like how he is, but I respect him. He's a great fighter, and he's just not somebody I'd hang out with, but I don't dislike him. I don't have any ill will towards him or hatred or anything like that. But, I'm definitely a super competitive guy that doesn't like to lose, and I don't plan on losing on Saturday. I plan on punching him as hard as I can, as many times as I can.
Dan, you've had such an incredible career, and not just since coming over from wrestling, fighting over in Japan. How has the sport changed over the 20 years or so that you've been fighting professionally?
It's been fun to be a part of the evolution of it, just to watch, younger talented fighters come up and start being really well-rounded and good at everything. Not great at any one thing, but really solid and good at everything. And when I first started, that's not how it was. People were really great at one thing and had to learn the rest. And, it's been fun to be a part of that evolution and growth of the sport. And these young guys that are good at everything at a young age make it a little tougher for us old guys to stay in there. But, it's a fun challenge to fight these younger guys as well.
In Pride, you fought over there in the Pride promotion in Japan for about a little over 6 years, 18 fights there. What were the differences between Pride? Because that was a promotion that was very prominent when I first started really following the sport. What's the difference between Pride and the UFC?
Well, they put on an awesome show, not just fights, but it was unbelievable to watch a Pride event live. Just the whole production of their events were by far the best ever. The crowd was very respectful and cheered regardless of win or lose. They were still, positive and respected the fact that both guys in there worked their ass off to come out there and fight and just because there's not punching and blood being spewed everywhere didn't mean they had to boo about it, So it was fun to fight over there during those times. I'm something that I'll definitely remember and take with me forever. But I'm real happy where I'm at and totally content to have this be my last fight against Michael Bisping and hopefully walk off with the belt.
Dan, we were talking about that, the fact that you said win, lose, or draw, this is it. And people feel like, well, if he loses, he's going to want to come back and avenge that loss. It's going to be tough for him. And I feel like it'd be tougher for you to walk away if you win, because you talked about the competitive side and the idea of, well, I'm the champ now, and I'd like to defend this belt at least once. I almost feel like it'd be harder for you to walk away with a win as the champ versus a loss. Do you think about that at all, or do you just have it in your mind, no matter what, I'm walking away and it's not going to be hard either way?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too difficult. I think the difficult part will be, when I do win and walk off with the belt and, if the UFC, wants to make me a ridiculous offer to come back, that'll be the tough part to say no, because I do love the competition, love the challenge of things, and it would be a huge challenge. But, yeah, I have it in my head that I'm done. Win or lose, this fight is my last one.
Dan, so much has changed over the years in MMA, and we've seen sort of characters, somebody with Conor McGregor's personality. You've never been that kind of fighter to be the overly showy, someone who comes up and says crazy things at a press conference. What's been your opinion when you've seen fighters take that path like Conor's taken?
I'm not a fan of it, for sure. Obviously it brings more attention to the sport sometimes, but I also think there's certain things that he's done, and I guess Nate Diaz was a part of that too, that didn't represent the sport well. And I've been a part of the sport for a long time and watched the evolution of it, and kind of protective over how people portray our sport. And I've helped grow it this far, and I don't like seeing people represent it in the wrong way. And he's one guy that at their press conference didn't go so well to represent our sport well, and I don't like seeing things like that. But Conor's also brought a lot of attention to the sport, and hopefully he can clean it up and keep it always in a positive, respectful manner.
You're an Olympic medalist in wrestling. I wondered if, from your perspective, you could ever see MMA being an Olympic sport.
I actually think that could happen someday. It'll take some time, but I think some rule changes will have to take effect to make it into the Olympics. Not necessarily because it's more would have to be a tournament format, and guys can't get beat up too bad to be able to fight again, the same day or the next day or however they would do it. But I would love to see it in the Olympics and think that someday it will be.
Hey, Dan, if you could fight at any weight, is there a fighter you look at right now and say, man, I would just love to match my skills against him, whether it was Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson or Stipe Miocic is a heavyweight, or anybody, any weight? Anybody intrigue you that you just look at and say, if I were his weight, I would love to fight that guy?
Well, right now it's for that middleweight belt, and I'd love to knock Michael Bisping out again.
Yeah, but you've already conquered that. You've climbed that mountain, Dan, in grand fashion, no less.
Well, there was no belt on the line last time. I need to make it happen now when that belt's on the line, and bring that belt home to the place it belongs in America.
Does he look any different to you as a fighter? I mean, he's obviously gained a ton of confidence after knocking out Luke Rockhold, but just in terms of his style, anything he does differently versus when you fought him the first time?
I don't know. He kicks more than he used to, and he's always pressured. He's always been in good shape, and it seems like his style is very similar, but just improved, and everywhere he's just a little bit better everywhere, and so am I. I think he's evolved as a fighter, but hasn't changed too much.
Well, here's hoping the H-bomb lands right on his chin, because I don't think that's any better. Dan, as a fan of yours watching you fight, thank you for all that you've done as a fighter. You've been so fantastic to watch, and I'm going to be with the rest of America hoping that you knock the cocky Brit right on his butt again.
Well, thank you. I'll definitely do my best to try to make that happen.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
No problem. See you guys.
All
Take care.
Bye. It's an interesting card, UFC 204. You have Henderson, Bisping are headlining it, and then you got Masasi. Am I getting the name right?
Mm-hmm. Gegard.
It's not quite like Nurmagomedov.
You got it. You got it. It only took you a week. You've been practicing.
That's exactly right. Nurmagomedov.
There you go.
He's going to be fighting Vitor Belfort.
You got one more to do.
Who's that?
Joanna.
Consonants. Repshenowitz?
No.
No?
No. Jędrzejczyk.
Jędrzejczyk.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
Nah, I like Joanna Consonants better.
Okay.
She's going to be fighting coming up here, too. She's on that New York card.
Yes, she
UFC
is.
205.
Yes, she is. Do you think this card stinks, by the way?
It's not great. It's not great. And
it's being ripped by the MMA press.
Which
I think they might have a point.
Here's the reason I don't mind it being terrible is because it's in England. And I'm totally cool with sending them our crap. You guys, you get a B card. We're going to save our really good cards for America, Ireland, and Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, it's Henderson, Bisping, which there's some intrigue to, but Henderson's 73 years old, and we'll talk about that. But, I mean, Vitor Belfort, Gegard Mousasi, you got Ovin St. Preux and Jimmy Manawa.
That's the one I'm not really that excited about. But although St. Preux was tough against John Jones,
he's just awkward. He's big. If he hits you, he's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
He's a big, awkward guy throwing punches from crazy angles. But are you excited to see him fight? He's not necessarily exciting. He's just kind of, I don't know. And Stefan Struve is fighting a guy I'm not familiar with.
Here's the thing about Struve, and this isn't, look, he's a quality heavyweight. At the same time, I think that he's been selected specifically because when he goes down, he's so freaking tall that he just looks like a train wreck, and it makes the knockout look that much crazier.
Well, speaking of great knockouts, remember him and Mark Hunt?
Correct. So he's basically there because, okay, when you knock this guy out, he's going to look like Charlie Brown after he gets hit by the baseball and he spins upside down and all his clothes come flying off because Struve's arms are going to be helicoptered around. You're like, he's 6'8" or whatever the hell he is, that it's going to look spectacular.
Yeah, you think they book him just because of the way he's going to fall? He's going to fall well. Let's get him on the card.
He is the same. He is the UFC equivalent of Sean Bradley.
Oh my goodness!
Because Sean Bradley, you would be able to put in there, and you know what's going to happen? Incredible dunks. People are going to dunk on him viciously. It's the same thing with
he's
Struve.
7'6".
Yeah, exactly. You're going to come in for some reason. People did not like Sean Bradley, the human foosball goalie.
Well, you look like Opie Taylor.
Yeah, people just mobbed on him. Yeah. I think that's what Struve is.
Struve is 6'11".
Yeah. I'm excited to see the card. Though I like watching Dan. I'm a sucker for Dan Henderson. Like, you want to talk about guys that are in the bag and that I'm in the bag for, he is one of them.
I like him a lot. I felt like he's become a bit one-dimensional in his older age, although we did see him land the head kick to Lombard.
Yes.
In his last fight, which is a rarity for him. A rarity. Usually he just cocks the right hand and chases the guy around. Just chases you around with a cocked right hand. Like, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. Is it going to land is the question.
I wondered after that fight, the last fight with Dan, whether that was going to be his last one. He's getting toward the end. And there's no doubt, and it becomes a question of how much more money does he want to make? Where is he? Well,
he said this is his last fight, win, lose, or draw, is what he said.
Do you believe that?
Well, I think if he wins, it becomes harder. I think everybody thinks, well, if he loses, he's going to want to avenge it. I think it becomes harder if he wins.
I would agree with that.
I think he's going to want to defend the title. I think he might want one big payday as the champ. But I don't know. Maybe he is committed to calling it a career. I mean, you know, he's going to be 47 years old in August of next year. He's 46, which is like 86 in regular people time. You know, guys who don't get punched in the face for a living. That's very old. So, and he has slowed it. I feel like he gets hurt in every fight these days. Doesn't it seem that way? He gets rocked. The legs buckle. Is he going to be able to battle back? I mean, he's a gamer like nobody's business. He's got heart for miles, but I feel like the chin is starting to go a little bit. I feel like he's getting rocked. We saw it with Chuck Liddell. You see guys that just don't take a punch the way they used to. And I feel like he is in that position now where I just don't want to see him get, especially against a guy like Bisping or anybody like that who's not known as a puncher. You don't want to see him lose in that fashion.
Well, I would say this. We don't have to worry about Bisping knocking him out.
He knocked out Rockhold with one punch.
But that was a cocky Rockhold who was sitting there with his hands at his waist and his chin all arced up. I refuse to believe that Michael Bisping can knock out the great American hero that is Dan Henderson.
Okay,
it's going to be an insult for all of us as a nation if it happens.
It'll be a blow. It'll be a gut punch to a lot of people.
Yeah, me most of all.
Mostly you, yes. Yeah. But it's possible only because I think, as I said, Dan has shown that, you know, the punches he's getting hit with, not all of them are as clean as he had taken earlier in his career, and he seems to be affected by them much more than he used to. And that's what happens when guys get older. The last thing to go is the punch. You always hear that of a big puncher. The last thing to go is the power of that punch, whether you're talking about boxing with George Foreman or you're talking about somebody like Dan Henderson. But what leaves before that are your reflexes, your speed, your ability to absorb a punch. All of those things are what fade before your punch. So it's a matter of him landing first at this point. Well,
you gave your list a couple weeks ago, and I've been informed that I failed to give mine. Michael Bisping, obviously someone I want to watch get knocked out.
List of people you'd like to see get crushed.
I'd like to watch them absorb a whooping.
But this is a list of people that aren't fighters.
Not necessarily. Okay. I would, if we included fighters, I might have Bisping on this list. I don't know if it really rises to that level. Your three, and it was 3 famous people
Yeah.
that you'd like to see take a hiding.
Just get tuned up. Yeah, beyond belief. It'd be Justin Bieber, Kanye West, and Floyd Mayweather.
What do you feel? Do you feel a little sympathy for Kanye now that Kim got robbed?
No. I wish he were the one that got robbed. I wish he were the one that were traumatized and tied up and thrown into a bathtub.
Oh, there's no way Kanye would allow that to happen.
No, he's a big bad guy. Yeah, that was the only regret about that story. I don't want to see anything happen to her. I've got nothing against her, but it should have been him. He should have been the one who was absolutely traumatized.
If you're going to take my 3, first one is Drake.
I can't disagree with you.
Drake is the worst.
I don't like him.
Wheelchair Jimmy, Aubrey, whatever you want to call him from Degrassi, running around. He is the worst. The absolute worst.
Who wins in a fight between Drake and Kanye?
It's just a slap fight, man. They eventually decide to go start drinking Cristal together and make songs about their mutual greatness.
You think there'd be a lot of scratches and bites and hair pulling and
that was the thing. Like Drake was supposedly he was with Tony Parker, I think, or there was a fight that involved Tony Parker, Chris Brown, and Drake. And I'm not sure the exact intersection that was there, but a bottle got broken and Tony Parker got cut and they were worried about his eye and everything. And that was one of those where I was like, okay, I thought Tony Parker was a scumbag before, and now I know he's an absolute idiot. To be in that triangle of idiocy between the 3 of them, Drake.
Chris Brown is an honorable mention on my list.
He's horrible,
phony,
too.
tough guy, punk.
Absolutely
Punk,
awful.
I hope you're listening, punk.
Number 2, Nick Saban.
Nick Saban.
Yes. He's a cute little guy. Nick Saban, he's so little and so short. Oh, what's going on? Absolutely gigantic bully. Huge bully. He ripped this past week, it's a week and a half ago, he ripped a quarterback for transferring, talking about the kid quitting. Oh, I just quit and decided to transfer. I don't know what my dad would do to me if I decided to quit something. What happened with the Miami Dolphins, tough guy? Did you not quit that job? Oh, was that not quitting because you were going to Alabama? Because it sure looked like you quit there. Sure looked like you decided to quit.
Okay, so Drake, Saban, I haven't had that reaction to Saban. I'm a little indifferent to him.
Oh, he's the worst.
Don't love him, don't hate him.
He's the absolute worst. And then the last one is Harbaugh.
Which one?
Jim Harbaugh.
Really?
Yes.
I thought you sort of enjoyed his awkwardness and his...
And here's the thing, because I don't think he'd quit. I don't think he'd stop. I think it would be one of those things you'd chop off both his arms and he's still getting up, insisting it's a mere flesh wound and he wants to headbutt you. I would want to watch it not because I want to watch Jim Harbaugh suffer, but because I think that you would tap into and witness the true maniacal element that is in his little dinosaur brain.
So it's not that you hate him. It's just you admire his tenacity.
I admire his tenacity, and I want to see what it would take to actually get him to stop.
Huh.
What it would take to actually get him to quit and to stop.
Come on, I know there's a third person you'd like to just see take a beating, though.
Oh, just to get wailed on?
Yeah.
It used to be Carson Daly, but I've kind of changed my tune on that. I thought Carson Daly was the most transparent human. Like, he was just a vehicle. They talk about a slug. The great part about a slug in cuisine is that it's like a vehicle and soaks up the flavor of whatever you cook it with.
Yeah.
Like that the slug's purpose was to convey garlic. That Carson Daly is like this sort of globby, totally formless conveyor for
just
advertisers' messaging. Yeah, that like, hey, you've got a product you want to move? Tack it onto this faceless idiot. He looks good, but he'll sure be able to sell it. Oh, hey, guys, I'm out here, and I don't really stand for anything, but I am the MC and master of ceremonies on all this stuff.
Was he the early version of Ryan Seacrest?
Yes, he was. Plus, then he was with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and she's garbage, too, and all of that is just absolutely
We are getting
horrific.
into the dark heart of Danny O'Neill now. Here comes the hate.
Yeah, that was horrible.
We should have renamed this podcast. Here comes the hate.
Here comes the hate that was there. If you're going to ask me for something, I would have to pick someone. So, actually, you know what? You want a third? It's not Carson Daly.
I thought we had like 5 of them.
Yeah. Here's who it is. It's Trey from Fish. It's the lead singer of Fish.
Oh, I know somebody that would really take offense to that.
Sure, maybe. I know some of my best friends that would really take offense to it.
I'm with you. I don't dislike
Fish.
him. I just don't like jam band. I hate the Grateful Dead. I hate Fish. Ugh.
This is nothing against the band or even the content of the music. I own several CDs. It's against their freaking fans. It's against the little whining, entitled, having a sign out in front of the show that says, I need a miracle, which means give me a ticket to this $50 show. How about you work for it? How about you sell burritos in the parking lot? How about you do all the other things that all of you shiftless, worthless hippies have done for 50 years while not contributing to anything in society instead of just asking for something? Give me a ticket to this show. Give it to me.
Welcome to the latest edition of Here Comes the Hate with Bob Stelton and Danny O'Neill.
And if Trey took a whooping and was unable to do it, then he maybe couldn't get out his vacuum cleaner or yell, Wilson! And that little idiot that's out there and the sign in the parking lot's going to have his little heart broken. And maybe once the little fractured juvenile dream of following this band around is completely extinguished, he'll go out and contribute to society.
See, now we've tapped into Danny's deep-seated hate of hippies in the hippie culture. He hates the hippie culture. Hates it. So that right there is the representative. That is just a visual form of the hippie culture in totality. So he's just targeting this one guy when really it's an assault on the whole culture.
My family, I've grown up surrounded by hippies. You could argue that I'm related. My brother's a hippie. My sister has some hippie tendencies. We went to Yosemite. This is about 4 or 5 years ago. We go on a hike with a couple of my cousins, and my cousins are. Yeah, they're working people. They function. And the other cousin is going to UCSC, which is a haven for hippies. Freaking caters to them. No having majors. You don't have to get grades if you don't want to. It's a college where you don't have to get grades. And he brings a couple of friends who, like, they skip across the parking lots. She's wearing some sort of lace thing on top of jeans. Like it's a lace dress, but then there's jeans underneath.
You're immediately annoyed.
Yes, I'm completely annoyed. And we hike up to the top of Yosemite Falls, which isn't, I mean, it's a decently long hike. And we get up there and, well, I start unpacking the lunch I made for myself, and he comes over and he's like, oh, I didn't think to make a lunch. Can I have some of yours? No. You know what? I made as much food as I need. I didn't make food for the shiftless layabout who just decided, oh, it's time to go on a hike. I hope there's a magic sandwich tree at the top. Worthless.
No. Did you say it with such energy?
No, I told him, I was like, no, actually, I made the food for myself because I thought about what I'd want to eat when I got to the top, and you have to plan ahead in this life. You don't have things that are just handed to you.
What was his response?
Dude.
That's not cool.
Yeah, that's not cool. I'm going to go talk to your cousin Tim. He's nicer to me. Yeah, maybe he'll give you handouts.
Oh, Danny's deep-seated hate of the hippie culture has always made me laugh.
Yeah. If I realize it's ridiculous, does it make it less ridiculous?
No. No.
All right. So you got my 3.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that one's there.
I'd throw one more fighter on my list. He just keeps he's skyrocketing up with a bullet every week, and that's Jose Aldo.
What'd Josie do now? He wants out of his contract.
He wants out of his contract. He's upset about how the organization has not treated him with respect, and he didn't get the immediate rematch with Conor, and now he's the interim title holder because he beat Frankie Edgar, and now he's saying, I don't care if you give me Conor. I want out. You've treated me with enough disrespect that it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter. Don't try to appease me. Don't try to apologize. It can't be fixed. And I was advocating for him to be cut before. Let him go. He wants out. Let him go. Now I'm of the mind, make him stay. You don't want to fight? Sit and rot and pout. Sit there, rot and pout. Let me know how much money you generate doing that. Seriously, This is a guy I used to be a fan of. I used to, hey, Jose's fighting. I'm like,
Scarface.
Aldo's fighting. Did you see Aldo fight? I was talking about. He's a great fighter. I've never had such a hardcore 180 on somebody. He has just turned me off to the nth degree. Every week he says something new, does something new. I see his Twitter where he's calling guys out, yet he doesn't want to fight them. He got an opportunity to fight Conor before the Diaz fight, turned it down. Shut your face, man. Sit on the bench. Sit there and pout. I hope Dana and the new owner say, sorry, we're not letting you out of your contract. You don't want to fight, that's fine, but you're not going anywhere else. I love it. I just keep him there. I don't know how long they can do it. Maybe it's forever. Maybe it's absolutely you've got 3 fights left. Until those are fulfilled, you're under contract to us. I don't know what the terms are, but if it's something like that, I hope those 3 fights never take place.
There you go. A really uplifting edition of Fight and MMA podcast.
Ooh, I feel better.
Yeah, I feel
that was cathartic.
I feel unburdened as well that we were able to get all of that off of our chest. Maybe a brighter side next week, and maybe we'll just vent a little bit more. We thank you for listening. Please share it with people around. You can get it at iTunes, Fight and MMA Podcast. We upload every Thursday. Look forward to talking to you next week.